And I think it comes off as more of a hurt, a place of hurt too, because I know these dudes don't care about Christian hip hop
Right.
artists, and it boggles me as one who is a fan, who is a promoter of Christian music. It boggles me why we would continue just to like what we like you've coined the term masochist effect, the fact that we would go through this masochist effect to just constantly just go through hurt and hurt. Dude, these folks don't care about Christian rappers. They don't listen. They don't care. They talk about Christian rap. And so for me, it's probably from a place of hurt that's like, man, why you want to be a part of something that they
They
don't
don't
even
rock with
care
you.
about you? And I get it. I get it because Christians are to be bigger people. We are to
Yeah.
be stronger people. And we must know that at the end of the day, we're in this to win souls. And so I get it. I don't believe that hip hop was founded on satanic or demonic principles. I don't think that. But I think the way it has evolved through certain individuals that have, taken a huge stock into the idea of hip hop, I think that is why my mind has shifted into that space of, okay, well, I understand not wanting to give up on hip hop. I understand that. And I'm not trying to pitch that I think we
Right.
should, because it is a black cultural thing that I think must stay within the culture. But I just think somehow, some way we've got to redeem it in such a way to where, dude, and I know it's tight right now, especially in today's society. Like we talked about recently, color identity. Do you subscribe more to your color or to your Christianity? And so I get it. I know it's going to be tough. I know it's going to be tight, but we got to get back into
Yeah.
this space where, all right, who's going to be the forerunner into making this thing wholesome again? You know what I mean? Who's going to be, and even if you're not preaching Christianity, how can it be a more wholesome trend of music? You know what I mean? It's because
Yep.
that's another thing that I think that leads to more areas within the culture that I think is just a nasty, vicious cycle on our
Exactly.
people. You know what I mean? Like we
Hmm.
can't keep preaching, we can't keep rapping about women cussing, drugs and things, and think that we're going to be better people. Like I get it, it's fun, I get it, it feels good, but like the scripture says, sin is pleasurable but for a season. And so
Yeah.
I don't know and I think maybe Lecrae tried to take that route. I don't know. I think maybe he's trying currently. I don't know. But I think for me, it would have been more of I am not going to compromise with you. Like I
Right.
make good music. I've got my like Bizzle. I'm trying to speak for Bizzle here because I've watched him for so many years. I've got my own label. I make martyr music. I make music that's wholesome. Guess what? I can out lyric any one of y'all. Guess what? I got beats and productions that sound way better than y'all's. And I get it. That sounds like it's competing. But I try to think to myself, like, dude, KRS-One, all these East Coast rappers that subscribe to that notion of hip hop being like,
And that's also
like,
mostly the
yeah,
East
that's their
Coast that
culture,
do
all right.
that. It's not That's not everywhere either. Like
Yeah,
that's only the East. It's really only the East Coast that's really into that 5% or like that type of talk. That outside of that, you see a lot of people who actually, and I'm not saying they're good Christians by any means or have really had a salvation experience. That's between them and God. But a lot of them be thanking God. They win the awards. They think they know God to an extent. It's just, have they submitted their lives to God and have they given their lives to Him? But no, I think you make some valid points. I think
mhm,
that makes a lot more sense. I get where you're coming from. Uh, I think people like Lecrae and others, and I think Lecrae is reversing course. I mean, he leveraged the opportunity under Columbia, and he left Columbia. I think he got the access that he needed to expand, and I think he's expanded what Christians can do on a mainstream platform. And I think that's at the end of the day, the goal is always going to be to win souls, even if regardless of how explicit you are in it. But everybody's going to have an approach in it, and I think some will take that mainstream. Most people are turning away from that anyway. So what you're saying, as far as the name, is kind of splitting hairs because the actions, like No Big Deal left his label, Lecrae left the label. These are all major labels that they're leaving. I can go on and on. There are other artists that have left labels. I can't think of off top, but we're already starting to see that trend of people. D1 left the label, so like people are leaving these labels and starting to do this independent and building from the ground up and taking what they've learned from these labels and taking the access to people that they've got and building up something bigger and having a deeper reach into the world. But the reality is, we have to be in the conversation of hip hop to really impact it. If we just do our own thing, then we won't be relevant in the grand scheme. Because at the end of the day, we are a subgenre of mainstream hip hop, and there's no way around that. Because what we're doing is always, you can call it whatever you want, but it's always going to be a subset of hip hop, even if it doesn't have the words hip hop in it. So that's a paradigm.
But why? But why?
It's a matter of reach. You won't reach nearly as many people if you don't. Because even when you said gospel rap, you didn't just say gospel, you said rap. You have to distinguish it, because that's just how music is consumed. There is and you won't get the reach if you're not able to set you. That's what the whole purpose of genre is. If you don't know what you're looking for, like, you can't just throw. If I put my Christian rap song in the gospel section, it completely hinders me from being able to reach fans of rap, and I won't even reach gospel people, because when they hear it, they're like, "This ain't gospel music." If I put it under a category it doesn't belong, then it doesn't. And I get, we don't have to get too caught up in like what do genres mean. Like, I don't get too caught up in the genre thing, but what I will say is, if it's rapping, then it's going to be categorized as hip hop, even if I don't call it that. That's why people who like D1 has never called himself a Christian rapper. D1 has never really called himself a Christian rapper, but he's put in the category of Christian rap, even though he doesn't collaborate with even a lot of Christian rappers. But he's still done it. Sometimes it's out of your control too, and that's the aspect that we got to look at. We can claim a new name, and that will work if like everybody claims it. But the point is, it's just a matter of who are we trying to reach, and if we call something truth music, then you may not reach. It'll completely obscure from hip hop to the point where like people who are fans of hip hop don't even know it exists, because that was already an issue. So it being, when I got saved, guess what? I was like, you know what? I'll finally give Christian hip hop a try. I always thought it was trash. I'm gonna give it a try. So guess what I type in without even knowing it's a genre? I type in Christian rap, Christian hip hop, because that's the first thing I go to. Getting rid of hip hop would immediately make it to, if let's say it was truth music and I type in Christian hip hop and nothing come up, oh, well, I'm gonna keep listening to the music I'm listening to, because there is no alternative.
But that's the point that I'm trying to make. Hip hop, look, you've got rap, you've got rock, you've got country, but when we say hip hop, that now encompasses, that now, broadens the spectrum. Now you have culture. Now you have
every
looks.
genre though. You might as well, if your argument, I feel like hip hop is getting an unfair bias. If that's your argument, it should be across the board for every genre. That's how I feel.
Oh, well, with rock, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like with rock, and so the point that I'm trying to make. So I do think that a lot of these main industries have been taken over by, like, I honestly believe that Satan has his hands all over the industry. I just believe that. I believe he's got it in rock. I think he's got it in country. I think he's got it in rap. But I'm just saying, we can call ourselves, because that's what you're trying to say. You said hip hop artists always say God anyway. But going back to our video on color versus color identity versus our Christianity, like, if we're going to say thank you, God, well, then let's start drilling down. Are we Christians? Okay, well, a huge part of black folks, most of all black culture is.
Some of these dudes are closer to God than we realize.
So then you put Christian.
Some of these guys are closer to God than we realize. It's the show.
Exactly. And so, like, I don't understand the timidness in just playing, okay, Christian at the top, rapper, rock, country. I don't know. You're just like, I don't understand that part of it. I do, because I know Satan's hands is all over the industry now. And so that's why I've been trying to think of some ways of getting the solutions out there. But it's like, man, it's like, why be so timid? Why call it hip hop when we can call it rap?
It's the same thing.
I think it's because it comes with the culture. It comes with,
So if your argument is why not call it Christian rap, then I feel you. I'm like, fine, yeah, I agree. I think that's what we can agree. Like, yeah, if hip hop is the issue because of the culture, and that's what you associated with, then I'm fine with Christian rap. I don't disagree with that. But I think when I think of hip hop, I'm not thinking about just culture or just the negative culture. I'm thinking about the culture of the sound, not the culture of because I don't think just because I'm hip hop, I have to act away. And I think people are changing that notion. Even people that aren't Christian or outwardly Christian and stuff, like Lupe Fiasco showed you don't gotta be talking about this, or that to be hip hop. Childish Gambino
Mhm.
showed that you can be nerdy and kind of corny and still be hip hop. I mean, like, it goes on and on. Kanye showed that, and he actually did make a song about Jesus early on in his career, and it showed that, like, you don't have to just talk about this, and they'll put us
That he got a lot of flack for, didn't he?
not well.
He
I don't
from
know.
both sides. He got a lot of flack from the church, but he also got a lot of flack from the world. Why? Because he was in a genre that was built on a culture that has been built over time in a culture that says, "Hold on, that white
He got
Jesus you
more
worshiping."
people. Yeah, people get caught up in like just the how much flack they get, because the flack always is louder. Like, it literally be like two or three dudes that diss Lecrae, and that feel like everybody, not everybody coming at Lecrae. No, it's just the fact that two or three people say something loudly. It's the people that speak negatively that always get the spotlight, but it's a lot more positive things, and that's kind of where I'm coming from. Is I think we let the people who are 5%ers or the New York crowd who pioneered hip hop to get all the like get the credit for like, oh, the negative things. But I'm like, nah, man, hip hop is what you make it. If you It's like one of those things, if you just don't like the word hip hop, I can't make you like a word. It's like, it's if you don't like it, then I respect that, but I don't know that it necessarily is. That's not the no. Most people don't think of hip hop that way, to where it's just that, and that's why it should never be used in reference to Christian, because it's so evil. No, I don't think people look at it that way to begin with, and I think that's where the disagreement for me is I just don't look at it that way. I think it can be that, but I think it can be it's good things that can be that. Like, yeah, you can be Christian, but it can be some Christians that do some wild things, or people that call themselves Christians that can be very evil people. But I don't believe it coincides with the true lifestyle of Christians. Just like I don't believe hip hop, the very spirit of hip hop, I don't believe it really was in evil. I think it was in having a voice for the voiceless, and I think that's very sound with the
Mhm.
Bible. But just because people did other things with it doesn't take it away, and that's kind of my point. I mean, we can go on and on about this. I think we both made some valid points. I think where we agree is we can there is an opportunity for us to figure out what we want to be and what we want to be seen as, and these are all things on the table. I think we can work with Christian hip hop personally, because I think it makes sense to me. But I think the door is open, man, for us to kind of figure out things. So, like, I think it's an open lane for gospel rap again. I think gospel rap has an open lane.